And first and foremost, I got beat up last night. I was trading like an asshole. I really was. Um, and I got beat up quite a bit, and put myself back in the negative by about 38 bucks. Was not a very good night. I was trading gold, and I just got absolutely just sliced and diced. And it's all the reasons why I don't usually trade gold much. I'll trade it to an extent, but kind of overdid it, and there you have it. And there's the results. So let it be a lesson to you. You know, I was licking my wounds last night. I was pretty pissed at myself. I was pretty pissed at myself last night through all that. But suck it up. I locked myself out last night and coming in today, and then my goal today is to get in the green, meaning that I'm looking to just get this balance into the positive, and that is going to be that. So I'm literally going to be probably looking for just one trade today, and hopefully it's a winner. So that's kind of what's going on with me, with my trading. I don't want to call it a journey because I already traded. It's weird, right? Because I lost in here, but in my real account, in my amped account down here that I use to trade, that I only have a couple. I only keep a few $100 in here, and I trade micros, and I mainly trade the Russell in there because I don't have the margin to trade much of anything else. The nice thing about the Russell is that it's only $50 in margin to day trade. So, and I've said this, and I've mentioned to many folks on the stream before, that if you're going to trade and you're going to trade a live account, two of the best vehicles are the Micro Russell, which is the M2K, right? M2K, you've seen me trade it before, and the MES, because margins are extremely accommodative is the word. Wow, I used a fucking big word this morning. Wow, and I didn't stumble. Wow, so I must be coffeeed up. No, it really is that I'm humiliated. And you might say, oh, well, you only lost $500. You didn't blow your accounts up. But still, I feel humiliated because I was doing things that I haven't done in like 10 years. And again, we are just creatures of habit. And when people tell you, like, with trading, you do have these brain farts at times. And it's pretty amazing that you get yourself to a point where you're like, you're right, but you can't kind of accept the fact that, hey, maybe you're wrong. Maybe you should just sit it out. And so anyway, there's so much truth to that. But luckily for me, I didn't blow myself up. I knew I had I traded within my limits, which I'm happy about, because usually when I start getting down about $400 or $500, I'm usually ready to shut it down. So anyway, that's the state of that. But, surprisingly, in my little crap account here at Amped, which I only keep a few $100 in, I actually made like $80 or $90 in that last night, trading what I'm comfortable with, which is the Russell. It is what it is, and look, folks, I mean, I always try to be I believe in absolute transparency, because, there's really nothing like to hide, especially for me. Like, I don't sell anything, folks. I'm not here to like push you into a Discord somewhere and then slam you over the head for, for $120. Follow me. My team is this, and we have our indicators. And I have always been so far away from that element of this business. I just don't think there's anyone, and I will repeat it again, I do not believe anyone in this business selling shit and charging people a subscription. And I don't care what anyone says. They say, oh, this guy's legit, that guy's legit. They are all full of shit. Because look, and I've said it before, and I will say it again, if you are really making money trading and you really are, successful, you do not have the fucking time to sit there in a Discord and dictate your trades to a bunch of people following you. You just don't have the time or the patience for it. Like, you're not going to want to deal with that whole aspect of it unless you have a whole infrastructure, which a lot of these guys have a whole infrastructure set up where, like, they're so detached from that part of it, where they're basically just the person on top. They come on, they do their stuff, and then everybody else, deals with it. I mean, to me, yeah, fine. I guess if you're going to do that, hats off to you. I don't know. I don't get it. So anyway, with that being said, number of levels today that look to me very interesting. I'm looking at S3 on the Russell, the 2512's 60. We also have this area here, which I think is going to be pretty important, because if you kind of start drilling back on the Russell, we are effing stuck. We stuck. Now, we did take out yesterday's lows. This is yesterday's lows here, so we did take that out. And we are selling off a bit. Today, I'm not going to go and, panic and go, oh, it's, watching some broadcasts lately over the last few days. It's like, people need some lessons in running a broadcast. I've seen so much gaslighting. And what I mean by gaslighting is, like, the minute crude oil starts to flubber around, they start, oh, there it goes. It's like, dude, calm down, please. Act like you've been around before, please. For the love of God, act like you've been doing this before. I know you're trying to create excitement maybe in your broadcast, but do it in a way that makes it sound like you've done this before and that you've seen. Because look, at this point, I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, crude, we've never gone through this before. Yeah, we have. We've gone through this before where crude, I've lived through it where crude was $150, $120, $150, and it stayed up there forever. And tons of people who were trying to short it just got absolutely wrecked because they kept trying to short. And then eventually, what happened? It did go down. But it went down when everybody was long. So, and we're in the same situation here. This will go down, and this will finally, normalize itself when it does. And so don't gaslight it. So anyway, so goes crude, so goes everything else. Crude got a very, very good lift overnight. I know there's some statements coming out now where, I believe, again, what is going on with all this Iran thing, and I've said it yesterday, I think the people who are being dealt with are technically in charge, but then there's an arm of these people over there who still think they're running the country, and they're not, and they're releasing these statements, and I think it is just to create chaos because their days are numbered. I kind of equate it to, and if anybody can go back to during the Iraq War, you had the Minister of of war, I think it was, or their defense minister was out on TV for about a week saying, yeah, we're winning and all this other stuff. And then the next thing you know, it like we rolled into Baghdad and then you never heard of that dude again. So, I mean, I think that is a lot of what's going on over there. And I think there's so much going on over there that we don't even know. And I think our own media is getting gaslit on what's going on because they're basically claiming anonymous sources, and I don't think these sources are anything more than some jackass who's over there, some jackass reporter, or it's some bot. Because from my understanding, and not that I have any, just from the research that I've done, there's 5 countries right now doing the entire negotiations with us. And Pakistan, it's Qatar, it's the UAE, it's Saudi Arabia, it's Bahrain, it's all their neighbors. And they're sick of it. They're sick of this shit. They want, and it's not that they're sick of us, they're sick of them. They're sick of them. They want them to fucking knock it the fuck off. Because it's affecting them now. And at the end of the day for all this, folks, and as much as everybody hates Orange Man, the world is going to be in such a magnificent place, honestly, when this is all done, because you will have had all these Gulf nations coming together to basically get rid of this rogue piece of shit nation. Free its people. I mean, and I can't see how you could be upset about that. Now, look, gas is fucking $3. For me, it's $5. I gotta put diesel in my car. So, so yeah, it sucks. But you know what? For that to happen, and these people on the left who call themselves humanitarians, cheering against the United States just because it's Trump doing this, it's fucking delusional, folks. And if you don't understand that, and look, I don't agree with any of this war. But to me, now that it's started, fucking finish it, end it the right way. And I think they're trying to legitimately do that. And so, have a little patience and don't be such a fucking bitch. So anyway, there's my rant for the day. And I'm not even for the war. So there you have it. I'm just looking at it from a pure humanitarian point of view that the world is going to be in a much better place without those scumbags in charge over there. And if you don't believe that and you think otherwise, you're just a fucking idiot. So anyway, now that I probably lost half of my audience, but the 6 people who watch these, oil. So goes oil, so goes everything else. I really don't know if it's even viable to put levels out on oil because it's so freaking headline driven that, any of these levels, all else normal, like if the news cycle was going to remain constant, I would say R3 is probably one of the ripest, most, to me, nicest setups of the day. But I frankly don't trust it because, at any given moment, we could be getting up to R3. You could be looking as short, and then some bozo headline comes out from the bot. I'm going to call it the bot that says, oh, things over there are going south. A ship discharged its dump station into the water because they had to release the ship. Oh my God! Then all of a sudden, what an environmental concern! And then all of a sudden, oil goes up another $5. So I don't trust it. Is really what it is, and it's not that I don't trust. I just don't trust the reaction to the news based on the levels, especially in crude oil. But nonetheless, I am going to mark it and put it on here because I do think this is a good, as good an area as you're going to get based on things right now for a short in oil. So 944, and then you have a lot of cheg up here, as I call it, up in this 95 range. And so yeah, so that's kind of right here and right here. You have a lot going on right there. And so something to keep an eye on. If crude falls, I don't know if you're going to want to catch a falling knife, because when it's gone, when it's sold off, it has literally just dropped like a stone. All right, so that's my spiel on the crude. Let's move over to the ES. ES, right, we're starting to get down into levels here now that we haven't, here's an S3 that to me looks really, really good here. A lot of support down here. We've been stuck in this range. I got two lines, right? I got this one here, and I got this one down here, and we have been stuck in here pretty much all week. All week, we've been just chopping. And so anyone who's a range trader, if you've been a range trader and you've been trading this range, you have been absolutely cleaning up. Now, I would like to go to a 4-hour on here and then get rid of some of these. Let's just get rid of some of these lines just to clean things up. I do think if I start to zoom out, you can see some of the profile starting to fill in down here. It is fairly light, even if we go out even further. But we do have this big hole in here that we've kind of been trading in. And to me, it's a bit sketchy spot. If we're not able to hold up here, like we're starting to take out some of these levels, and we've actually already come close to test them. You got levels down here, 65.42, here's 65.27, and then all the way down here, you got 64.67s. And that this really is the kind of the only spot down there, unfortunately. This is kind of the only spot where you could really start to see some like volume support. So we're in a pretty sketchy area right now on, whether we go up and sustain or do we continue to collapse down. Unfortunately, I'm going to lean probably to the short side because I think the short trade is going to be much easier because the momentum to the downside has been so much cleaner. So anyway, there's that. And then, key level today for the ES is going to be S3 at 58.80. And we are pretty damn close to it. We're at 58.86. And then you have this swing low here from the other day, which is a 65.73s. So pretty interesting area. We'll see kind of what happens here, but that's kind of how I'm trading it and looking at it on the ES. And then the NASDAQ is going to look very similar. You can see you can almost overlay these. Like, look, that's the ES. That's the ES, and that's the NASDAQ. They are literally like carbon copies of each other. Where the difference is the ES hasn't really touched S3 yet. We actually cut through there last night, and we're actually trading below S3, and we've actually kind of broken these lows and finally broke out of this range. So, again, I'm going to be looking sell side perhaps on rallies. All right. And so that is kind of the story there on the indexes. And again, oh God, why does this do this? The Russell here, same sort of thing. I think the Russell has a little bit more support down here. As you can see, the Russell does apparently have, and the Russell overall, although it's down a little more than the others today, it actually held up better than anything else over these last few days. Again, I'm going to be looking at these areas in the Russell. I'm going to be looking for the Russell for some leadership, that if the Russell's able to hold and even get a bounce down here, chances are the other indexes will follow. All right, so there's my shtick on that. And then I am going to be looking at gold. Gold is interesting because, as I mentioned, we had this series of lower highs leading into kind of this sell-off, and these lower highs have been pretty predominant. And this last flush out, I did add that down here. Why did this not? I added this in here. Why is it not there? Anyway, we did have these series of we did have these series of lower highs in here, as you can see here, right? I have them marked, but I also I marked too where when we made this flush out, I'm kind of calling this. I don't know if it's going to be rage bait or what, but I kind of like this as being the end all flush out. Now that doesn't mean we may not test some of these two levels down here, specifically 43.50 and 43.08. But trend-wise, this does look like a reversal. So now, is it a bear market reversal in gold, where we have a leg up, and then we continue to the downside? Because we've had this before, right? It's happened here. It happened here. Now it's happening here. Now, this is a little bit better of a recovery pattern so far. This, we had a move up, but we quickly moved to the downside. So again, I'm looking at this that possibly we are in a little bit of a recovery zone here in gold. But, and if I'm a gambling man, which I'm not, but I'm going to be looking at 43.55s as a possible another entry. And I'm going to look at S3 at 43.94s. We also have a lot of volume down here at these 44.20s. And we're trading 44.30. We are down 120 bucks. So I'm going to be watching that as well in gold, even though I got sliced and diced like a pig at a pig roast. But nonetheless, I am going to be looking at these levels for possibly maybe a little bit of reversal here. And that's kind of my shtick in gold. All right. And outside of that, that's kind of it. Bonds look like they're under some pressure today. They did have a nice run up to 113 yesterday. We did take out yesterday's lows in bonds this morning. Right? We did take out yesterday's lows. And we will see if these areas hold. S3 is very important for bonds at 112.60. We'll see if that holds. This is another market where we have higher lows, higher lows. You know, we've based possibly reversal. Right? Lows, higher lows. We'll see if we can put in yet another higher low with a reversal here and have this hold. And then possibly, again, we have something that's a bit of a trend change event here. Or is it just a continuation of a bear market where it now goes leg down, right? So it's going to have to hold. Going to have to hold here. Right? It's going to have to hold there. It's going to have to hold here. All right, so it's going to have to hold these levels, and then I would actually even venture to say it's got to hold S3 here as well. And it's not drawing, and I don't know why. It's going to have to hold S3. Kept creating the same one there. Anyway. All right. So that is kind of that in bonds. And that's kind of what I'm going to be looking at today as far as some things, right? I'm going to be watching crude. I'm going to be watching bonds. Hopefully bonds for a reversal, because bonds going up will be good for stocks. Bonds going down will not be good for stocks. Dollar, however, is actually rallying pretty nicely, but the VIX has not really reversed. And that's kind of the story there in equities and macro markets and everything else. Now, as far as some stocks, there were a couple things that looked very interesting to me, or still look very interesting to me, and that's a number of these stocks on here. Not so much from a directional play, but I do like the volatility that we've had in NBIS. As I did about 2 weeks ago, I put this up and I said, look, the trade for NBIS is not going to be to get long, and it's not going to be to get short. It's going to be to play this range, because we have been stuck in this since back in October. We have not been able to break out. And you can see, although we've had some moments where you say, oh, it's going to go, NBIS, right, going to the moon, right, all you jerk-offs, right, and then boom, we come right back into the zone. This trade has worked out. We did a couple of iron condors. They're actually working as advertised right now. They're up about 30% each. They were small trades, and they're working. I honestly see that being the case for something even with like a CrowdStrike here. I look at CrowdStrike and I say this is a stock that looks very similar to, let me get rid of this. Very similar to NBIS, where you have these high swing highs here, like at 120, I'll even call it. And then you literally have a very, very strong level of support. And why do I keep losing my freaking ray? But you have this area of pretty strong support down here that I would call like a perfect area for an iron condor. And so if you're looking for something to do, this area about from 120 down to 160, down to 65. You can even go to 70. I think you could probably even pull this side up to 70. I think realistically, you could probably even go to the 70 strike. And then anything over 115, I think you could play this range in here on CrowdStrike, right? And sell outside that range, right? So you would sell, sell calls up here and sell puts down here. And you're not likely going to do, and I don't have that platform. Let me see if I can push that platform up real quick. I will stick this in. Even though some kid can, Czechoslovakia probably already has it. I will put this up, but again, it's these trades, it's these kind of like middle of the road type trades that I think there you go. Sorry about that. So, and then here we do CrowdStrike. And I would do something. I would definitely do something or try to do something here. I'm sorry, it's not CrowdStrike. This is CoreWeave. I'll be all right. CoreWeave. I get them confused. CoreWeave. What an idiot. CoreWeave. These are my AI stocks. This is CoreWeave. So CRWV. I'll be all right. So CoreWeave, right? To me, I think you could definitely play this range. Look, volatility in here is not, it's not great, and I wouldn't normally do anything in here, but again, the stock seems so stuck. I would be willing to take a stab. And I talked about 70s. Here's the 70s. And I don't think you're going to be able to do an iron condor in here. And here's the 120s. The 120s don't pay nothing. 115. You got to go down to 110. Wow, this is not as juicy as I would have thought. You have to go down to 110. Interesting. Yeah, there's not really, this is not very juicy. And wow, I'm actually surprised. I'm really surprised. I mean, that's not a bad looking trade. I would have expected it to be a little more juicy than that, folks. Honestly, I would have. I would have expected it to be a lot more juicy. But unfortunately, that's garbage. That's garbage. But from a chart perspective, that's kind of the play here. I would not get long and I would not get short because, although if you get long, look, you do have some. I think this thing kind of exhausts itself and tires out once it gets up near $100. And henceforth, I think this also gets tired out if it gets back down to 70. So Yeah, nothing there. I'm actually surprised. Wow, what a waste of time that was. Sorry about that. I really would have expected there to be more volatility in this, and a little bit better, um, a little bit better, a little bit better. All right, so oil just hit an alert up here. So that did hit R3. And I do not trade it. I don't know what the news is. I'm likely to believe that there is something. So before I go and no, U.S. look, no, it's not news driven. It's just basically going off now. We're hitting all kinds of alerts. What's going on? Hitting all kinds of alerts. We're hitting new highs. Something's going on. Something's going on. Something's going on. What else? ES crossed to the downside. So we do consider, and we are at S3. So, being as it may, I am not going to trade gold. Let's take a look at the MES. Oops. Let's take a look at the MES. Because as crude making new highs here, this is coming into that spot that I marked. But unless we get some reversal in crude oil, I do not believe this is going to catch here. We'll see. All right, I'm going to give it a shot just to, because I mean, I have it marked. I have it marked. Let's take a look. Do some live trading here. Don't really see any buyers stepping in right now. I would like to see some buyers step in, but we are not. And oil just kind of spiking here now. Be a commentator. Oh, there goes oil. Oh, it's catching a bid. Everything kind of selling off here. It's all across the board. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go, and I am going to just take one on M2K. Got it marked here, R1. Everything's kind of selling off here. I'm going to join the bid and see what happens. And it's likely probably going to just slam me out. $25. And I don't see it bouncing. It just does not. It looks heavy as hell. It looks very heavy. Looks extremely. Oh, there we go. There's a little pop. change this to... I can move this up to break even. So we're in a risk-free trade. And all I'm looking to do here is hopefully get out of the hole with this. If it could just pop a little bit more, I'm going to flatten it and just get out of the hole. That is my goal here. There we go. Come on. One more push. And I will take one off. Come on, one more push. One more push. I'm going to take one off there. All right, let's see if we can, get this thing to go here. Objective complete. I'm going to move this up to here. Once that candle closes, I'm going to move that up. So we're out of the hole. That was my goal. Get out of the hole, man. Fight your way back. See profit, take profit. I know this is kind of a baby trade, but I'm actually going to move this up to here. But again, my objective on this was just to get out of this hole. And there is a perfect example of an S3 trade, right? A support level. We came down to it, and it bounced. I'm going to move this up again. Now, I'd likely, if I wasn't in the hole here, I wouldn't be moving this stop up so fast. I'd be probably leaving it down where it was. But again, my objective with this trade was to get out of the hole. I don't like being in the red. And not that I was in the red. I mean, I was in drawdown basically on the account. And I did not like that. Wow, this turned out to be a nice one. So we might even make that target. I'm actually going to get rid of that because And I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm just going to sell this one out. See if this keeps going. Probably going to flatten it right here. It looks like it kind of exhausted itself. And there you have it. And so we're flat, and then flatten everything, make sure that nothing's there. And so there you go. Nice little trade there. That was $40. So got me out of the hole. I'm now plus 24. And this may still keep going. But, you know, again, I got my targets. That's all I was looking for. And, you know, and I noticed, like, look, my win rate's terrible, man. But, you know, it's all about survival. And then we're just going to try and chip away at this. I'm going to have a good week going. So, anyway, there you go. It's a little live trading. Again, it's these small little trades. And, like, this was my problem last night. I was trading too big. And I was trading in an index, you know, gold, that I have no right. I have no right trading gold like I traded it last night. You know, too much size, and size kills. So, you know, that's making me feel pretty good that I'm out of the hole. So I'm going to continue to trade micros in here because, you know, micros do save you. And I'm going to be looking to build that cushion back up again. So anyway, there you go. There was a little live action. And again, you know, it was a level I had marked. I had it marked on the ES. I could have taken the trade in the ES. I could have taken it in the Russell. It was there in both spots. It was both in S3. Both are bouncing. You know, and so, you know, whichever one that you decided to take, it didn't matter, either one. And likely, I would assume that the NASDAQ, well, the NASDAQ already went through it, so it wasn't even a level. But as far as the ES and the Russell are concerned, there you go. And that is why, folks, that is why I use these pivots. And they're not anything fancy. Everybody has them. And the pivots that I use is I use the Fibonacci. I use the Fibonacci's. We use the Fibonacci pasta. You can use whichever ones you want. I always found that Woody's a douchebag. So Woody's a scumbag. He is the worst person. I never met him personally, but I know two people who met him personally said he was the biggest douchebag they've ever met in their entire world. So no disrespect. And then you can use classic. You notice they're different. There's traditional. The difference is that the S2, S3 will actually be wider. I prefer the Fibonacci's. I find them to be much more accurate. The problem with the Fibonacci's, though, is that they only give you up to R and S3. So anyway, there you have it. And then look at this move, and then it's still going. And we could still be in that trade right now. And as I said, if I wasn't in the hole here, I probably would have left that on. So, live action. Maybe I should run my own freaking podcast. So, CoreWeave, you know, I would stay away from it. I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize the volatility was so horribly bad in there. And so those are the kind of plays that I'm looking for, folks, though. When I am looking at stocks, I'm basically using Tasty Trade, as much as I hate this fucking platform anymore. And I told you, folks, that I am extremely disappointed in it. It needs a refresh badly. It's the technology just seems clunky and bad. It's gone down a number of times already in the last few months. And it needs a fresh coat of paint, man. It's bad. It's fucking bad. But I'm looking at some of these high volatility plays in here. The problem is that not a lot of these underlyings that are on this list are generally liquid overall. A lot of them are fairly illiquid. or ETFs, and I'm not a big fan of selling volatility in ETFs because it just has not worked. That's just something that hasn't worked for me. And so I avoid it. But I'm really not seeing much. Here's Hut 8, 57%. Probably another one that's not a bad play. They got earnings. But again, I'm looking down this list, and these are just not, even when you look at them from a liquidity point of view, a lot of them aren't the most liquid of underlines. And even look here on the open interest, there's like no participation in this anywhere. So like, why am I going to be trading it if no one else is? The only one really on this list that's extremely liquid is probably this one, which is Freeport Mac. This stock has had a huge run, but it also got clipped pretty hard. It was up near $62. Now it's trading about $55. It's going to fluctuate with the copper market. I don't really see a trade in here personally, unless you're going to sell, perhaps a ratio would probably be better, would be something I would look in here. I probably wouldn't want to be short that because likely, I think, again, I mentioned it before, I think copper is going to be but I think a ratio, and this is actually not a bad one here, this 50-49 ratio trade. And then this is not likely the margin on this. I get this kind of margin because I'm trading in an IRA, and so by trading in an IRA, I don't have any margin. I don't have technically margin in there. The margin on this, if you have a margin account, usually the margins are really good in here. And I got rid of my margin account in here because they fucking suck. Because this company sucks. And I hate to bash them, but I have no choice but to. So this looks like a nice trade. If you, again, the margin on this would probably be about $1,000. I don't think it's 4,700. But I don't have a margin account to test this against. I would have to, I don't even think, yeah, I don't have a margin account here anymore. I got rid of it. I got rid of it. I have to do that in Stink and Swim. So anyway, this one's a good one, I think, if you want to sell some put premium in here. You could probably even do like a 50-45 or 50-40. Relatively cheap. Yeah, $800, get you 20 deltas. That's not a bad trade, the 50-40. Or just buy the stock. Maybe do a covered call. Buy the stock and then sell the 60 in May. Not a bad trade. Puts your cost basis at $52. It runs you $5,000 in a margin account. You probably only use half of that. That's probably a really nice trade right there. Covered call in FCX, right? Buy the stock, sell the 60s, right? Stock doesn't go anywhere. You roll the call down, make some more money, reduce basis. Not a bad trade there to me. That's actually pretty damn good. It puts your cost basis at $52. So take a look at that one. That one's not a bad one. Not a bad one. All right, so that's it as far as stocks. Like again, I don't have a whole plethora of stock stuff going on, and this is still fucking going. Look at this. Yeehaw. How about that S3, huh? But I'm the asshole who bailed out. So anyway, there you have it. Have a good one. I think I went over a lot of stuff today. Let's get rid of that. I'm sticking to futures. Wow, we are really rallying. And then it looks like oil kind of fell off. So you can even, here it is, like in a nutshell, folks. Look at this. I can't even explain this anymore now. Like, look, you could have, it all lined up on like 3 different things. It just blows my mind. And then anybody who wants to go talk about, and this is why I say people who talk about ICT and a fair value gap, it's like, dude, shut up, go away, stop making videos and go fucking trade. This lined up perfectly just about everywhere. We hit an R3. I talked about a short on crude. I'm not trading crude, right? So I'm not trading. But if I was, I would have taken that short. So I could have taken it in one of 3 places or all 3, and I would have been profitable on every one of them, right? Here's R3 right in front of your face. Complete rejection. This thing's up. You're probably up. If you did a full blown, you're up over $100 if you did the micro, and you're up a couple of hundred if you did a full blown crude trade right now. This is a huge move, 77 ticks now almost off of this. So it happened on crude, it happened on the ES to the other side, on the rally, on the bounce, and it happened on the Russell. I mean, what the fuck, peeps? Right? And you want to talk about ICT and, here's the fair value gap. And shut up. Fair value gap. You know what the fair value gap was? It was this. It bounced off as the support down here. Support and resistance, folks. The most simple fucking thing in trading markets. Support and resistance. Right? This would be the fair value gap. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't be the fair value gap, because the fair value gap needs to be drawn out from another spot. And where is that? Where the fuck is that? That'd be down here. This I guess would be, and I don't know shit about ICT, but this would be probably what they would call, this is the fair value gap. Well, you fucking missed it, because it didn't even come into your fair value gap, whatever. It's like, dude, just simplify, folks. Simplify. Simple. Same shit people have been doing for fucking years and years and years. I mean, and look, the technology has changed, but the overall fundamentals of things have remained the same. Now, the point with these trades, and I've always said it, when you are looking at these reversals from support and at these support levels, you can't be greedy. You can't be greedy. You have to take, and again, you can see now, this is on the 15-minute, and I would probably go down to even a 5. Now, if I had tick charts and I wasn't getting fucking charged from them, from fucking TradingView, I would have a tick chart up here. But I will actually demonstrate it on my Combine, because I do have tick charts. When you have these bounces, you need to pick a target on here and then be willing to get out, because at some times, especially if the momentum is against you, you will get what I call a natural bounce of support, but it may not be sustainable. And so you got to be willing. That's why you notice I was sitting on the flat and all, because I was not going to sit in that if this was going to be a bounce and then a quick reversal back the other way. I didn't want to get caught. I already had my profit, and I was looking to take out, because that's what oftentimes happens, especially when you have a move that far down. Again, talking S3, and we've moved that far down, not real fast, but with a little bit of momentum. So again, you got to watch these, because they can, if you get greedy on these, they can, and I have had it happen to me. I've had them come back and, whack back through. So like we get that bounce, it rallies. I mean, in this case, we have a lot of room for this to come back down, but it rallies, and then it may only get about halfway back, say here, and then it quickly reverses and goes back the other way and slams through it again. And so that's why, you got to be aware of those trades like that. that could happen. So anyway, there you go. I'm going to wrap it up here. Did some live action. Let me know if you're watching this and you like this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm more than happy. It's just very hard for me. I've told folks before, I have a day job that I really enjoy. I love my day job. I love my company that I work for. I love the people that I work with. I work at probably one of the best places around. I mean, I can't even tell you how great of a place it is. And anyway, for me, I absolutely love it. So, and so that's why it's hard for me during the day to come and stream, because I'm doing my day job. Not that I'm not trading. I actually have both screens up. I'm like working where I'm working and I'm doing that, but I always have one eye on my screens. But, I'm not going to be sitting there broadcasting and have nothing be done, or just have it be silence, just for the sake of broadcasting. So anyway, hope all this helps. And I was really glad something kind of came through today as far as a trade. And so we do have possibly yet another one, another reversal. We have a sell-in balances here. We're going to have to see if these get eaten up. If these sell-in balances get eaten up, we could possibly have another leg to the upside here if buyers step in and absorb these sellers. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got. I hope this helps.